Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're going to be in Proverbs 3. We already did 3, 1 through 12, and today we're going to do Proverbs, the rest of it, 13 on. See if I can get this hooked somewhere. Well, it's technical difficulties. I don't have a pocket.
You don't pocket your sweater?
No, I don't. There we go.
How do you carry your wallet?
No, I don't. It's a fake pocket. What do I do with a pocket in the back of my jeans? It was a fake pocket. Okay, thank you. What would I do with that?
There's even your pants.
I know. All right, you guys, just for fun. Since we're in the study of Proverbs, this is just for fun. Thought we would. One of my favorite quotes is, "Wisdom is knowing that you don't know." The older you get, the more you realize I have a lot more questions than answers, and that's good to know. A word to the wise. It's a dog-eat-dog world. We're just going through some proverbs that we've probably heard of.
It's a God.
Oh! Okay, we'll just switch that. I guess I was in a hurry. Oh my gosh, that's funny. It's going to be that kind of morning. It was that kind of weekend, so there we go. All right, so here's one, and proverbs are from everywhere. Let sleeping dogs lie. Barking dogs seldom bite. I don't know if that's true, but dogs have teeth in all countries. Dutch, from an Arab proverb, the dogs bark, but the caravan moves on. Think about what these mean. Portuguese, beware of a silent dog and still waters. From Romanian, if you lie down with the dogs, you will wake up with fleas. Actually, this one's from every country you can imagine. Every country has this proverb. Hungarian, a late repentance is a dog's idea. Japanese, let the dogs bark. It's a sign we're galloping ahead. All right. Hungarian, oops, I went backwards, sorry guys. All right. Japanese, when a dog barks for nothing, all other dogs bark in earnest. That's a good one if you think about that one. Yeah. Sicilian, who goes hunting without dogs comes home without rabbits. Think about some of these. Indian, only mad dogs and Englishmen go out in the noonday sun. Irish, it's hard to make a choice between two blind dogs. Just imagine what they use these for. It's kind of funny. Socrates, the only true wisdom, and this is not a dog one, the only true wisdom is knowing that you know nothing. Obviously, it's not a dog one. And then Confucius, I have a few more here from other countries. These are about wisdom, actually. You know, remember that Proverbs is about wisdom. It's wisdom literature. Today we're going to be talking about wisdom again, and that's why I threw these in here. So the only true wisdom is knowing that you know nothing. And this is something Jim and I learned in seminary, and the professors were very serious about this. The more you study the Bible, the more you realize you don't know. So, and that's a good place to be, really, because it's the depth of God's teaching to us. This is Confucius. By 3 methods we may learn wisdom: by reflection, which is the noblest; by imitation, which is the easiest; and by experience, which is the bitterest. 3 ways to know wisdom. Nelson Mandela, a good head and a good heart are a formidable combination. So having wisdom and a good heart is a formidable combination. Just to get us in the mood of wisdom. And then I always have, a lot of times, this before we begin the section here. Today I'm going to be talking about the ancient Near East. And the ancient Near East comprises, you can kind of see, these are the old days, but you know, we've got Iran, Iraq, we've got Egypt, we've got the Saudi Peninsula, Jordan, obviously Israel, Lebanon, Turkey. This is kind of what, when we say the ancient Near East, this is what we're referring to. Israel resided in the ancient Near East and resided in this culture. So there's a lot of, and some of the extra biblical, meaning writings that aren't in the Bible, there's a lot of extra biblical literature that we look at to help us interpret Scripture, because a lot of the words were used and what was this expression at the time, and it's actually quite interesting that this area has a lot in common, and even some of the languages, they have a lot in common. So sometimes when you study the Bible, and especially like the Old Testament, like we're doing, you'll hear, you'll read, and people will say the ancient Near East, from the ancient Near East we know this or we know that. So that just gives you an idea. It's kind of what we would call the Middle East today. And I'm showing you a picture of Hawaii here, not just to tell you, guess what, I got to go. But this is going to come up. Some of these things I'm going to refer to later. And I don't know if, you probably can't see it from there. This is a waterfall we took in the Waimea Canyon. And there's got to be some kind of sermon lesson here. But right here, there's a helicopter right there. So it just shows you, I took the picture with a helicopter in it because it shows you the breadth of this canyon. And this is like, what is this, the mini Grand Canyon? I mean,
The Grand Canyon of the Pacific.
Yeah, so it looks a lot like, you can't see the color in this particular photo, but the color is phenomenal. It's like the Grand Canyon. It looks a lot like the Grand Canyon. So, and I'm going to talk about the vast and sweeping view a little bit later, but this is kind of what inspired me, part of what I was thinking about today. Some vast views, inspiring views, I guess. You guys probably know this one. You guys recognize this. It's very beautiful, and then the lighthouse there. Just the views that you get sometimes really remind you of God, remind you of how vast He is and how amazing He is. And today we're going to not be talking about geography, but we'll be talking about wisdom in that same way. Okay. And also, I may bring this up. When Jim and I lived in Houston, one of the cool things, there's not a whole lot of cool things about living in Houston, but anyway, some of the South is pretty good.
Where's that photo? Did you take that one?
South Carolina.
No, this one I did not take. This one did not take. This is probably...
It's in South Carolina.
This is
It's
South
just right
Carolina.
outside of Charleston, and it's
It's
called
called
Angel Oak.
Wow. Okay. Is it a southern live oak? Is that what it is, I believe?
It's amazing.
It is, absolutely.
Well, and in Houston, we had some live oaks, not this big. Live oaks can get 500 years old. And we had one, we went to this restaurant, it was like this little cafe outside, and it was they built it under this live oak. So we would go there, I think the food was probably good, but even if it hadn't been, we would have gone there, because you get to sit under these live oak trees, and the branches come all the way down. It's just, these trees are phenomenal when you see them. They're phenomenal. I mean, this picture I'm sure doesn't do justice to being there, but I think the one we sat under was probably 200 years old, but I guess this one may be closer to 500, because they said they can get up to 500 years old. So I wanted to show you that. Again, we'll be referring back. This is really strange. This is a very eclectic group of pictures, but we're going to be talking about this gal here. Her name is Ma'at. She's an Egyptian goddess. What does that have to do with the Bible? But I want you to notice Ma'at, well, there was a huge Egyptian influence in the ancient Near East, okay? And that's going to come into play today in the Proverbs. That's why I put her up here. So when we get there, you'll go, oh, yeah. So Ma'at was very famous, and she was the goddess of justice and wisdom. And in her right hand, you'll notice, is a scepter. In her left hand, do you guys know what that symbol is? What? What? I don't know. It's just, well...
Do you know?
Yes, well, I was told it was a symbol of life.
That sounds fancier, though.
What?
I thought it was an Ankh, A-N-K-H.
I don't know what that is.
That's what that
So I think, is that what the name is?
What that symbol is.
That's the Ankh. Okay, I didn't know that. And does Ankh mean life? Do you know?
I'm Googling it.
Okay, good. So if you guys can
The
see,
angel
it's
oak is 500 years old.
all right. And so she has, so the point is, the scepter, it represents things of the world, okay? Power, honor, prestige, dignity, blah, blah, blah. And the thing in her left apparently symbolizes life. And we'll get back to that in a little bit. That might be my last one. All right. So, and then we're going to talk about finally the tree of life and the tree of knowledge. You can see, gosh, this is going to be a really long lesson. Anyway. So, if you guys want to open up to Proverbs 3, we're going to start at 13. I'm going to read, there's a lot of scripture, but I'm going to focus on 13 through 18. But I'm going to read through the rest of 13, and I will, what I'm going to do, you guys, is I'm going to read through all the way to 35, and then I'll give you some interesting things that I think are interesting points that I think you guys might like about the last part of the scripture, but then we're going to come back to the first part, because I want to focus on the first part at the end. So let's do that. I'm going to read, starting with 13, where it says, blessed. Now, you guys know that the commentary I'm using, the man's name is Bruce Waltke, and as you know, I often call Jack Wilsey, our professor, and ask him, and last night was no different, so I call him, and I'm like, yeah, this Waltke, Proverbs 1 through 15 commentary is this big. 1 through 15 is huge. This guy spent 20 years on this commentary. I'm like, this guy's stout. And of course, he's like, oh yeah. And he starts talking about this guy, and I'm like, is he still around? Oh yeah, he's been teaching for like, I don't know, like 60 years. He's like, I don't know, he's really old, but he know. And this is a small group. When you get up into that scholarly field, apparently it's a small group of people, and they all know each other. This guy's still around. He's in his late 80s. He's still teaching, and so anyway, it's kind of funny. And Russ Glessner, the professor that helped us get into this field, he actually had him as a professor. And Russ is no spring chicken, so Waltke's getting up there, but he's still teaching about God, which is cool. But the version I'm about to read you is from Bruce Waltke. So when I read it to you, it's going to be different from your version, and sometimes I'll tell you what it means and why it's different. But all right, so here we go. Verse 13, blessed is the human being who finds wisdom, the human being who obtains understanding. For the profit she gives is better than the profit of silver, and her revenue than gold. She's more precious than corals. All desirable things cannot compare with her. Long life is in her hand. In her left, wealth and honor. Her ways are pleasant ways, and all her byways are peace and prosperity. She is a tree of life to those who take hold of her, and those who hold her fast are each declared blessed. The Lord by wisdom founded the earth, and he established the heavens by understanding. By his knowledge the depths were split open, and the clouds drip dew. My son, let wisdom and understanding not depart from your eyes. Guard sound judgment and discretion, so that they may become life for you and an attractive ornament for your neck. And then you will walk securely in your way, and your foot will not stumble. When you lie down, you will not dread, and when you fall asleep, your sleep will be pleasing. Do not be afraid of sudden calamity, or the ruin of the wicked when it comes. For the Lord will be at your side, and he will guard your foot from capture. Do not withhold doing good from those to whom it is due, when you have the power to do it. Do not say to a neighbor, go, come back, tomorrow I will give, and all the while you have it with you. Do not plan evil against your neighbor while he's dwelling trustingly with you. Do not bring an accusation against a person without reason, if he has not done you evil. Do not envy a violent person. Do not choose any of his ways. For the devious are an abomination to the Lord, but the upright is in his counsel. The Lord's curse is on the house of the wicked, but the abode of the righteous he blesses. And if it is a matter of mockers, he mocks. And if it is a matter of the humble and the oppressed, he shows favor. The wise will inherit honor, but fools are those who acquire disgrace. So I'm going to skip 1 through 18 right now, and I want to go to 19 and kind of give you what's going on there. And then like I said, we'll go back up to the beginning. Let's see, sorry guys, if I can find this in the notes where I want to go. Okay, so verse 19. The Lord by wisdom founded the earth. He established the heavens by understanding. So here what we have is, really you guys, what this is reminiscent of, for me anyway, is how important for the Jews it is to link everything back to the beginning. So and really this is like John 1. If you guys remember John 1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and through it, we're talking about Jesus now, but it says through him all things were created. Nothing was created without him. So we're talking about Jesus, and it points back to Genesis. And here the author also is pointing back to Genesis. By the Lord by wisdom founded the earth. And every time we point back to Genesis, it's like saying to the readers, this is all connected. This started at the beginning with God. This is God's doing. And that's how important. He says, my son, this is wisdom from the Lord. Not just from me. This is wisdom from the Lord. So we kind of see this throughout Scripture, and it even, like I said, moves into the New Testament with Jesus being the wisdom of God. And then he says, my son, let not wisdom and understanding depart from your eyes. I only bring this up because you're going to see a unity in this Scripture, this poem. We have eyes, neck, side, foot, kind of showing us, I'm protecting you everywhere, like all of you is protected. Don't let this wisdom and understanding depart. We've talked about that before. We've also talked about so that they may become life for you and an attractive ornament for your neck. You guys, we've talked about the ornament last time. And then it says, you will walk securely in your way. Your foot will not stumble. And it says, and when you lie down, you will not dread. And we talked last week or 2 weeks ago about a merism. Like if I search high and low, that means completeness. This is another merism. When you walk and lie down, I will protect you. Meaning I will protect you no matter what you're doing at all times. And when we lie down, it's our most vulnerable position. So even in your most vulnerable place, I will protect you. And I think we can all relate to, and when you fall asleep, your sleep will be pleasing. Do not be afraid of sudden calamity or the ruin of the wicked when it comes. We kind of think about something that happens like Sodom and Gomorrah, what happened to Lot's wife and that community there. He says, don't be afraid of sudden calamity. The Lord will be at your side and he will guard your foot from capture. And verse 27, do not withhold doing good. This is really interesting, you guys, because the Bible is, as Christians, we try to decide who do we do good for. I mean, that's often a question that we have, especially when we're doing benevolence. Do we give to everyone regardless of how they are and what they do and how they act, or are there certain people we should give to or give more to? And this is kind of an indication here that the Bible is really on the side of doing good for those to whom it is due. And what the writer is talking about, he says, if they have a moral claim on your service, your active service, then do it for them. But for example, today what this author is talking about, who he's engaged with, are the poor who are vulnerable and oppressed, the poor who can't help. I mean, they are not poor because of something they did. They're not poor because they were lazy. They're not poor because they're evil. They're poor because somebody oppressed them. These are the people who have a moral claim on our service. But if you perpetuated the evil, and if you're lazy, you have no claim on my on my service. You have no moral claim. So that's kind of the idea when he says, do not withhold doing good from those to whom it is due. And so as Christians, I think it does cause us to really think through how do we give? And who do we give to? And we need wisdom to direct us, because obviously we don't know everybody's story, we don't know everybody's past. One thing we do know about benevolence in the church, if we're not sure, it's better to give. And when you do benevolence, you will have people take advantage of you. That part of the time that happens. So it's better to give and then go, wow, that person really took advantage of me, than to not give. So, but it's good to consider these things and the resources that God has given us and what we do with them. And then I want you to notice the next two lines. This is you're omitting something. So he's speaking about omission, the omission of a service, not doing something by omission. He says, do not say to your neighbor, go back and go back tomorrow and I'll give it to you. So if we have something and we can give it now. Don't do that because it's kind of a power play. Well, maybe if you come back tomorrow, I'll give it to you. Give it now if you have it. Don't commit the sin of omission. I have it, but I'm not going to give it to you right now. That's omission. Then the next two verses, he's got the sin of commission. Okay, so omission is I have it, I'm just not going to give it. Commission is I'm going to give you something that's not good. Do not plan evil against your neighbor when he's dwelling trustingly with you. Do not bring an accusation against a person without reason. So, 31, do not envy a violent person. Walke describes a violent person as somebody who infringes on another person's right, infringes on their rights in a hateful way, a greedy way. They're hurtful, they're hostile, they're harmful. This is a violent person. And obviously there could be some physical violence to this, but it doesn't necessarily have to mean physical violence. You could do violence by just what's that?
Just your words.
Yeah, your words, your attitude, your heart, right? And how you, yes, absolutely. I think we all know that words can be very violent. So that's kind of an interesting, that word is encompassing all of that for us to keep in mind. So do not envy the violent person, and do not choose any of his ways. For the devious, they're an abomination to the Lord. And this is kind of interesting. He describes the abomination as, think of somebody who has sensibilities. We all have sensibilities in areas, right? He describes this as a person who offends your sensibilities. We offend God's sensibilities. When you offend a sensibility, you're an abomination to him. But it says here, the devious are an abomination, but the upright, the righteous, those who do good and follow his way, they're in his counsel. And this is a really beautiful picture of being in. Who is in your counsel? It's your most trusted friends, right? The people that you trust, the people you care about, the people you know, you are for me, right? You are for me. This is a really intimate group of people. So he says the upright are in his counsel, okay? Those who he reserves his most intimate communication for these people who are in his counsel. The Lord's curse is on the house of the wicked. So if you think about his counsel being intimacy, if you're wicked, it's the opposite. You're not in his counsel. You're far away from that personal counsel. Okay? He cannot allow you into that close place with him. But the abode of the righteous he blesses. And this one I want to spend just a minute on. This next verse is really hard. And this is one someone can come up to you and go, well, God's not very nice. Because look, if it is a matter of mockers, he mocks. And, I'm not sure that's a good English word for this. I'm not sure how else you would translate it. But that makes it sound like God's sitting up there like someone's like, nanny, nanny, boo-boo, and God's up there saying that back, nanny, nanny, boo-boo to you, like he's mocking back. I mean, mocking doesn't sound something that is worthy of God, so this is a little bit of a difficult one. But what I want to kind of explain, let me read the rest of it, and then I'll explain that. So, if it is a matter of mockers, he mocks. If it's a matter of the humble and oppressed, he shows favor. And so what this is, in the ancient Near East, and really even up to Jesus' time, in the Roman days, there was a cultural idea, I guess, called lex talionis. And this was an eye for an eye for eye. What, tooth for tooth, is that what it is? Eye for an eye. So this was retaliatory justice. If you cut my arm, if you cut my arm off, then your arm will be cut off. If you poke my eye out, then the punishment for you, you get your eye poked out. You see, it's retaliatory justice. So this is kind of, this was very, very common. We can see it in the Old Testament. This is very common in the ancient Near East. So first off, the first thing we need to remember about this is kind of the author talking about retaliatory justice. If you mock, God mocks. But let me go a little deeper so we can kind of understand this. A mocker is a term for someone with extreme antisocial behavior. And further than that, this idea of the humble and oppressed, this is an expression for the poor, the righteous poor, and the oppressed. Okay, so these are the good poor, not the bad poor. Yeah.
Mine uses the word scorn.
Okay.
Scorn's the scornful.
Oh yeah. What translation is that?
I think it's ESV.
So if it's a matter of scorners, he scorns.
It said towards the scorners he scorns.
Oh, okay. Towards the
Yeah, mine
okay.
is scoff from the scoffer.
Oh, scoffer. Oh, interesting. Scorn. So yeah, what does that look like if God mocks, scoffs, or scorns? Really,
Yeah.
That's good. That's probably better though. I don't know. He used mocks. So that's good. Thanks. But anyway, a mocker or a scorner or a scoffer is that person who's oppressing good people, oppressing the poor, oppressing the vulnerable. And when you
So
read,
is it really just oppressing? Because if God's oppressing the oppressors, that makes sense.
well, okay, so the mockers oppressing. So let me see if I can get this out. All right. So the idea here is that the mocker, okay, so the mockers are oppressing the poor, the humble and oppressed, and they're exploiting them. God is obviously fiercely against exploiting the vulnerable. So the mockers, what are they doing? However they're oppressing, it's coming out of their mouth. That's what a mocker is, a scoffer, right? So they are oppressing by what comes out of their mouth. So lex talionis, eye for eye, what comes out of God's mouth will now be their punishment. So you mock me, And what comes out of God's mouth as punishment? It's a curse. It's a curse. And what is really a curse? Again, if you are blessed, you are in God's intimate counsel. If you are cursed, you are outside of his intimate counsel. So God will pronounce you outside of his counsel. So the mockers mock, and God in like speaks back to them and puts a curse on them, meaning you are outside of my counsel. So that's kind of, I don't know if I explained that real well, but that's kind of what I got from the commentary. So it's really a matter of the voice of God, the voice of human beings mocking, and the voice of God coming back and delivering their punishment. And the final line is, the wise will inherit honor, but fools are those who acquire disgrace. And these two words are very telling. The wise inherit something from God. We follow God because that is the wise way. We don't follow him so that we can be rich. We don't follow him so that we can have esteem in people's eyes, but that is what we inherit from what we do. We don't grasp for esteem. We don't knock on the door and beg and cry. You don't see this grasping. The wise inherit honor by virtue of how we live. But fools acquire disgrace. Whatever fools get, they're acquiring with their own actions. So those kind of telling those two words. But I want to go back now to the beginning where we say, blessed is the human being. I think you guys will find something kind of interesting here. Go back up to 113, and then we'll just go through these verses and hopefully have some discussion at the end here. This is really interesting. The reason Waltke says, does your version say blessed is the one? Or blessed is the person? What does yours say? Person? One? The man, okay. So the reason everybody's trying to figure out is the scripture's obviously talking to all human beings, men, women, everybody, one. How do you say that? So Waltke chooses blessed is the human being. But the reason he chooses this is because, remember, this was written in Hebrew. And the Hebrew word for human being is Adam. A-D-A-M, Adam. Blessed is Adam, who finds wisdom. The Adam who obtains understanding. We run into Adam in Genesis 1. So we're going back again to Genesis. And in Genesis 2, they decide to capitalize the A, which wasn't capitalized in Hebrew, and it becomes Adam. But what's interesting, if you guys look at Genesis 1, I'm just going to read a very short passage to you here. Adam is really a central word. Even, believe it or not, all of this even wraps up to men and women in the church today, how we look at that, and it all goes back to Adam. But let me read this for you as soon as I find it here. All right. This is Genesis. You don't have to turn, you can. Genesis 1:26. He has created the land and the sea and the skies and the creatures, and God says, so man created Adam in his image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. So God creates a male Adam and a female Adam. God blessed them, Adam, and he said to Adam, be fruitful and increase in number. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air and over every living creature that moves on the ground. Okay? And then you know that God gives Adam the garden. You can eat it. Any of this fruit. There's two trees, though, that are important in this tree. There's a lot of trees in the garden, but two are important. One, the tree of life, and two, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So you guys remember that, right? There's two trees. And this, when you guys think about reading Proverbs, we're in the Old Testament. This is very Jewish, and this is what they're pointing back to in their mind. When he says, blessed is Adam. Adam is the human being, right? Either male or female. Now again, like I said, he becomes Adam, and Adam becomes the name for the male Adam, but Adam originally is the human being. Blessed is the human being who finds wisdom, the human being who obtains understanding. The first thing I noticed when I thought about this yesterday is that it says, blessed is the human being who finds wisdom. This is not you walking on the beach casually, oh, I found a shell. That's not this kind of finding. This kind of finding is an aggressive search. Blessed is the person who searches and searches. This is did you guys ever lose your kid in the mall or somewhere like that? He hasn't gotten that point yet, but that is the scariest thing ever. That's the scariest thing that ever happened to me. When you lose a kid in the store and they're under the clothing rack where no one can see them, they're playing there and you're like, first of all, I want to hug you and then I want to kill you because you're carrying me. So this is an aggressive search. This is something you have lost. This is something very valuable. This is something you have to get back. This is the kind of search. Blessed is the Adam who finds wisdom after much searching, and the Adam who obtains understanding. And Walke, this is why I like him. He says some things. He's real technical that I have to skip a bunch of technical stuff, and then he gets to something really good. And this one was, this kind of understanding, and I really believe this kind of understanding is the pinnacle of human aspiration. This is the search for wisdom. This is the search for why are we here? What are we supposed to be doing? Who am I? Who are these people around me? How do we relate? This is the epitome of human success when you find this wisdom. That's why we're searching. That's why we're here. That's why we want to know, how do I connect with God in a deeper way? How do we do this? This is the epitome of human success. Why are we here? And this helped me answer a question that it's been lingering in my mind for about 10 years, and I don't know if this guys will help you, but this is starting to help me answer the question. 10 years ago or so, I had a friend, and our kids were in school. They were about the same age, and we would meet once a week and do a Bible. We were doing like a book study kind of Bible thing, and she was really struggling in her faith, and I didn't know what to do. So I'm like, let's read a book together, and we'll talk about it. And that worked, and we would have coffee once a week, and we'd talk about this book. And the book was some Christian book. I don't remember what it was, but something we were interested in. And but in the meantime, we would have a lot of discussions. And in her struggle with her faith, there was like 2 or 3 times she said this to me, and when she said it, I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to say. And she said, there were times that her life had been very hard for her, and she had prayed, and I don't know, you guys have probably done this at some point in your life. I mean, I know I have. You pray, you're crying, prostrate on the floor before God, you're begging, you're searching for an answer. Please, God, please answer me, and nothing comes. At least not at that moment when you most want it. Nothing comes. And after a while, you're just tired of crying or whatever, and you just get up and go about. And she had experienced this. And she said, everybody says, oh, God is love, He loves us, He loves us. So why is He so hard to find? And I really didn't know what to say. Why is He so hard to find? Any of us who have persevered in prayer for we know. He's not a vending machine. We don't just put our quarter in and get what we want. There's these periods of waiting we don't understand. There's periods we don't even see how our life is put together until much, much later. We can't see it. Why is He so hard to find? And then I realized by this is where I got the idea of the oak tree. Because it's kind of like saying, why can't I plant this oak seed today and tomorrow have it look like that? I want a 500-year-old oak tree in a day. But God's wisdom is so vast. And when you think about God's wisdom, I was thinking about the pictures. God's wisdom is something sweeping. It's something beautiful. It's something vast. We're talking about the epic novel, or we're talking about the majestic symphony. We're talking about things like Bruce Waltke's book that takes him 20, 25 years to write so that we have the opportunity to learn from it. God's wisdom is so vast. You can't plant a seed and tomorrow have a 500-year-old oak tree. That's why it feels sometimes He's so hard to find. Because He knows we need that time to understand. He's too deep for us to understand without the long journey, without the long road, without the epic novel. And that may not be a full answer, but it's a partial answer for me. Why is He so hard to find? But the idea He tells us, this is like, the pearl of great price or something. But in the end, it is worth it. Those times when you prayed and you cried, He will answer that prayer if He hasn't yet. He will form your character. But that's why we're here together, because sometimes we're like, is he really there? Is he really doing it? And those of us who are stronger at the moment say, yes, he's there. And I'm walking with you and I'm praying with you. I'm Jesus' hands and feet to you. I'm Jesus' eyes and ears for you when you can't be. That's why we're here together as a group. Because this is a long journey to get to this wisdom, the epitome of human success. It's a long journey, and we're here together to help each other along. So that's kind of the idea there. And it says, the profit she gives is better than the profit of silver. Sometimes you guys just sit and think for a few minutes by yourself. What does it mean? You know, we know what this means. The profit's better than silver, better than gold, I get it. But what is the silver and gold in your life? What is it? Walke says, money can put food on the table, but not the fellowship around it. Fellowship around the table takes years of intimate relating with other people, right? In Job 28, Job uses that these precious metals, these things that are so important right here in our life, right here, these are things I want right now. He says that could be our precious metal. The precious metals can be rated by human ingenuity and prowess. Yep, they're going to be things that we want. They're going to be rated. They can be, think about the Sermon on the Mount. They can be stolen. They can be taken from us. But he says, but wisdom, which is more valuable than anything, it cannot be obtained this way.